Christmas, they're right now they're still in the garage. I haven't pulled them out yet, believe it or not. Yeah, so I've been between Buffalo and Arizona quite a bit this offseason, and I think we'll probably spend more of the time in Buffalo. So I'll send you a picture of what I do in Buffalo. I haven't yet figured out what I'm doing. I just went to Home Depot and spent a lot of money on Christmas lights, and those are in the garage too. So I haven't quite got to it. The extra month of baseball is thrown off my schedule. It's absolutely thrown off my Christmas juju. So I'll figure this out here.
When did your heart rate go down after the World Series? Like, when did it all settle?
Yeah, it was probably about a week after. It took me a little while to just kind of come to grips with what happened, what we had walked through, and I started to process things more or less the right way. Obviously disappointed by the outcome and coming as close as we did, and playing in the World Series was a great moment for this organization. And I started to think about it the right way. I was really disappointed by how it turned out, and I felt like we got close and didn't close the deal. And once I cycled through that thought more into the area of it was a spectacular year and I'm really proud of the players and what we accomplished, things started to slow down for me. But I don't know. Will it ever really truly slow down? Because you know what my next thought was? Like, where do I need to go? What do I need to do to improve? Where do we need to go to make this thing happen the right way? So I don't know. I'll probably find some time over the next couple of weeks after this event here to just think about it the right way.
Have you watched any of the games from October back at all?
I haven't watched one pitch. I saw it pop up on some of the replays, but I haven't watched. I'd get on it, watch, a commercial, and then turn the channel. So I didn't watch one thing. I don't think I will, to be honest with you. I don't have any desire to right now.
Why?
Probably because it wasn't the final destination. Maybe if it was and we had won, I might look at it a little bit differently. Yeah, I don't have any desire to, because it seems like that whole entire week plus however long it was didn't go anywhere close to the original script we had planned. So I don't have any desire to.
Have you not watched any of the NLDS or NLCS games back? You've been watching those?
I haven't watched one pitch of that as well either. I don't know why. I don't have any desire to. I might change. For right now, I have not. Do I ever? Very rarely. Very, very rarely. If something happens where I want to get a good look at it, I might have somebody send me a clip of it, somebody from the PR department send me a clip of it. If I need to review something and look at something that happened, well afterwards, they'll do that. Right after the game, I'll probably watch 3 or 4 clips about what happened so I can get briefed on what some of the questions might be from our local media. But no, I don't watch a lot of it. I probably am moving forward and thinking about the next level of what needs to happen to get better.
To that end, I know you're still in the early stages of processing and figuring it out.
Yeah.
So what's your biggest takeaway for what you can carry forward from that experience, both getting to the postseason and making the run you did for next year?
Yeah, I think the common thought that I keep having is that I am so proud of the players for what they've done and the trust that they put in one another and the coaches and the training that they were getting, and that we're a really good baseball team. We're a really good baseball organization. Because I watched young players step into a really big stage and be unfazed by it. And that probably goes back to training and process over outcome. And that's really what we're about. I don't think we're so concerned about what's around. What I've talked to these guys about all the time is you can't lose a game. You give your best effort and you focus at the right times. If you focus at the right times. And I think we lived in that space. And I'm really proud of that. And I go back to that often.
You guys seem to be at your best when you were maybe doing the hunting, right? Rather than having the card. It's going to change probably next year.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you approach that, knowing that teams are going to be kind of locked in your game?
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's unavoidable, and I want us to embrace that. I get introduced at different things or different events, and it's the National League champion Arizona Diamondbacks. That sounds great. It sounds great, but you're right. There's now an X on our back. So I've already been talking about it, to embrace it, understand that we're deserving of that tag, and we're deserving of being the chased. The first half of last year, we were the chaser, and I think it worked out really well. And all of a sudden, post All-Star break, we might have got a little glossy-eyed, and we had the target on our back, and we all know what happened. I think it was 5-22, whatever the record was, and we put ourselves in a really tough spot. So we have to learn to embrace that, accept what we are, and we deserve it. And if we can come to grips with that, I think we're going to get back to focusing on what we do every single day. And that's pretty much the way we've been rehearsing this and scripting it out over the past couple of years.
Torey, a few years ago, Nick Saban complained about playing in the college football championship, saying that he cut into his recruiting.
Yeah.
So, as an organization, after an extra month of play, how did that cut into your guys' offseason, beginning of offseason, preparation, you and Mike and the fans?
Yeah, there's two things. From a personal standpoint, Nick asked me about my Christmas lights. It feels like it still should be Thanksgiving coming up, right? And my clock is a mess because of when the baseball season ended. And I know the players are the same way. We've been on Zoom calls with them for the past several days. It ended last week, and we had a very particular agenda and of what we wanted to get accomplished through those meetings. And it is about what are you going to do to rest, recover, and then also get ready. So we've earned that right to say that things are just a little bit out of whack, but we have to have a process and a plan to keep moving that thing forward so we know what to do to get ready for a very healthy 2024. And that's our design. We're not, we're going to work on messaging right now about not taking anything for granted, not thinking it's going to happen automatically, and going out and being the best version of ourselves. So these players are starting to hear that right now, and I want them to continue to hear that because, A, they should enjoy where they've been, but it's not their final destination, and we got to find a way to get to that final destination. And if we do, how are we going to reload and continue to evolve? That's how this game is. But getting your clock adjusted has been a challenge. Conversations with Mike have been a little bit more on fast forward. We're getting to things really quickly. My phone calls with Mike, you guys would be amazed. My oldest son always gets blown away at how fast we transition from being in the middle of the conversation to having the conversation end. It's like, all right, dude, bye. That fast. That's what we have been doing for the past 3 weeks. It's been very quick, fast moving, and probably 2 or 3 times a day where we have 15 seconds of a conversation, goodbye, because he's extremely busy, and I know that.
How do you think Barry Enright will be as a full-time pitching coach, and how much of a loss was that for you?
It's going to leave a little hole in our system. First of all, he's going to be an unbelievable pitching coach. I think he's learned from the best in Brent Strom, and he's going to fit right in there. I know Ron Washington, having had him as one of my coaches. He's a people person, a great personality. I think Barry is going to fit in wonderfully with him, and he's ready for this opportunity. What we do to replace him, we're still currently discussing, but we got a hybrid coach situation, and he spent 75% of his time in the minor leagues and was delivering important messages for younger pitchers to develop and come to the big leagues and transition into that competitive atmosphere. So we've got to find somebody else that's going to do it and do it as well as Barry did. We're going to miss Barry.
Do you feel like, given how close you guys got to winning everything, is there a little bit more urgency for you in trying to get Mike to kind of push the chips in a little bit more to try to come back next year?
Yeah, I think I know Mike so well. Like, the harder I push at something, the less inclined he's going to be to doing it. He goes the exact opposite of what I asked for. I know we're all motivated by the same thing every single day. I know that for a fact. I can tell by the way I've been sitting in the war room and listening to these conversations, the intensity in which they're being had. I know that those are no different than sitting in my office and me being a fly on the wall. They're always the same. I know that they always feel the same every single day, and that's how can we win tomorrow? What's gonna make us better tomorrow? And I don't think we have an all-in mentality out of panic. We have an all-in mentality out of necessity. That's who we are every single day. So I don't think it changes. We're not on anybody's time clock. We know player A, B, or C is going to be with us for this long. I don't think that's part of the equation or part of the calculus. It's like we do it every single day the same way. Let's make us better tomorrow.
When you were sitting, you were just doing Zoom calls with players.
Yeah,
Is that like the equivalent of the exiting music?
correct. Traditionally, we have the one-on-ones coming in and going out. Mike and I made a conscious decision late in the season that we weren't going to have any conversations until our season was officially over. Because sometimes it signifies the end, right? Like the end is near. We never felt that way, nor do we want the players to ever feel that way. So we said, we'll push it all to Zoom. And when I said goodbye to the team, I told them that I'd be in touch with them very soon regarding the Zoom interaction being used as their one-on-one exit meeting. And they all went great. The meetings were unbelievable.
What specifically did Jason McCarthy you had a plan for
Yeah. Let's see. I know it was said in the Zoom, and I don't want to share everything, but maybe getting a little bit more finished, a little bit more behind his swing offensively, be more impactful. I think he's very dynamic and has the ability to go straight bat to ball when he needs to, but in those counts where he can get behind the ball and drive it out of the ballpark, we want that to be the case. And we saw that several times in 2022. He hit third force for the majority of the second half of the season. So we know that's in there. There are some swing issues, some timing issues, and we want him to be dynamic. We want him to change his compass and be able to go back and forth approach-wise as to what he wants to do based on what the pitcher's giving him and how he feels. To continue to be a threat on the bases, impactful when he's out on the field or on the bases, and then defensively to continue getting better as a right fielder with with reads and breaks. So mostly was centered around the offensive aspect. The conversation we just had with him was centered around the offensive aspect. But to also gain a little bit more confidence too. I think, you get sent down to the minors, you wonder about what happens and where you're at. But to rebuild where he was a couple years ago, because he was a very confident, comfortable baseball player.
What are you hearing about Eugenio Suarez? I don't know if you talk too much as far as the clubhouse fit. Kind of can see what he is as a player, but we're also hearing excellent things about him as an individual.
Yeah, I forget what how Mike Farron referred to him today. Did you guys hear any of the Sirius XM stuff today when he talked about Suarez?
Good vibes only.
Yeah. Like Captain Good Vibes, is that what he's known as? Very close to that.
He has his good vibes only.
Yeah. On top of being a very good baseball player, somebody that's worked hard defensively to continue improving. The offensive approach has always been built around slug and driving the baseball. So, the game speaks for itself. But we've heard, we vet things. We have a wonderful culture. We want to make sure the person coming into our setting is going to fit in as a human being, as a teammate. And we've heard nothing but glowing remarks about his ability to relate to players and connect with players and accept coaching and hold people accountable. Accountability is a big word in our culture. We've heard nothing but great things about him.
The NBA added an in-season tournament this year. I'm just curious what you think about MLB adding an in-season tournament.
Yeah, you know what? The only reason why this is the broom closet I've been living in, right, for the past couple of months because of the baseball season. I had no idea what was going on until the Celtics and Billy Donovan, who I don't even know who, got into a little bit of an argument during a game, and they're talking about the point differential. I'm like, what? So I'm not even very well read on what's going on with the in-season tournament. But I'm a baseball traditionalist when it comes to the long run and the long haul. I'm a big fan of how it's currently being run right now.
Do you feel like, an in-season tournament doesn't necessarily change the regular season schedule. It just makes certain games count toward the season. So would you be opposed to select games on the schedule having a little bit more importance, even though they're still just part of the normal
Okay, so the in-season tournament you're talking about is certain games would signify if you get into the in-season tournament and you can win the in-season tournament, but it doesn't have anything to do with the end of the season standings.
Right.
So it's kind of like a Champions League type of thing?
Yeah, during the season, certain games count toward it.
Yeah.
And if you win a certain number of those games or whatever, then you can advance and actually be a part of the tournament. And then that part can be separate from the rest of the season.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds interesting. I think every game's important. Every game should be weighted the same way. Like, you got to win today to get through the day and get a little closer to tomorrow. So, I don't know. I haven't given it much thought. I'm probably more in favor of what happened now. Look, we were the last team. What's happened currently? We're the last team in, right, with 84 wins. It worked out really well for us.
There were a lot of you pushed a lot of the right buttons in the playoffs. So I'm curious if there's any time in your career you can think of where like you went against maybe the grain or just like a moment that really worked out that you can kind of think of or that comes to mind in game.
Yeah, there was a few things there that changed. I went against some of the recommendations from the coaches. Just trusting my gut. I know Sal Frank ended up getting a huge out with it. Willie Damas as a hitter with the bases loaded and 2 outs in Milwaukee, right? Hit a line drive ground ball. Was it Adames? Sal Frank against Adames? Got the 3rd out of the 8th, the 7th or the 8th. Everybody targeted that as being the key at bat. I thought, well, we're not going to get there because he's going to get the guy out before him, and he didn't, and we walked ourselves into a tough situation. But I trusted Sal Frank against righties. I had all year long. So yeah, there's a few things that I went against script-wise and trusted what was being told by me, to me, by the staff, what I was sensing internally. And I said it to Nick because Nick asked me the same thing. He wanted me to talk about me being the baseball genius and pushing all the right buttons, and I'll never do that, right? Maybe one-on-one we can talk about me, but I follow the same process every single day, and I want to make sure that you guys understand and the fans that watch understand. Like, I am a process-oriented guy, which includes my gut and my feel for the game as to what's going on right in front of me. Nobody's ever telling me who to put in. There's no script in front of me. It's just me and only me, and I have a bunch of information that includes some numbers. I have a bunch of information that includes my gut, my mind, a bunch of information from conversations that I've been having 2 or 3 innings in advance prior to that situation coming up. That helps me make the best decision moving forward. So I do it the same way all the time. It just showed up a little bit differently and maybe seemed like I was pushing the right buttons, but it's the same way every single time.
Torey, when you look at player development and integrating young talent at the major league level, like, what do you view your role as manager in that, and not only like the playing time element, but helping guys continue to develop it? What do you feel like are some keys in that area?
Yeah, first of all, player development is the backbone of our organization, and without them, we do not have the type of year we have this year. I know for the guys that have been with me and girls that have been with me for the majority of the year, they've heard me say a couple of things that I'm going to repeat, so I apologize, but it's real. When you are an Arizona Diamondback, you're not a Sunday helper when you get called up or a day game, night game helper. You come into our clubhouse with the expectation of being able to perform at a very high level at the most critical moment to help us win a baseball game. And we talk about one game making a difference. And I told you guys, I said, book it one day. One game is going to make a difference this year. You just don't know where that one game is going to show up. So it should give you great incentive as a player in player development for the Arizona Diamondbacks to go out there, learn and trust and grow every single day. I had a lot of meetings with Josh Barfield, who's now moved on to be the assistant general manager with the White Sox. And I will plan on having a lot of discussions with Sean Larkin, our new farm director, about the messaging. It's crucial. It's got to overlap. It's got to be consistent. There are no barriers. And that's how I was raised in the Cleveland Indians system when I was in player development. And it felt like it gave me some incentive. It incentivized me to go out there every single day and work my butt off to make a young player get better because I knew he was going to do the next thing at the next level. So without barriers, they step into the same environment. They hear the same words from the same glossary, and we expect the same results. And it's very powerful.
The game has shifted a little bit about maximizing pitching, right? Not talking about you, but this game, right?
Yeah.
Small pitch count, you also still value lack of a better word, like an innings eater, right? And now you're just somebody who's giving you innings. How do you balance those two things, and has that balance changed for you in the time?
Yeah. So, whew. When I first got to the big leagues as a manager, I expected every starting pitcher to go and give us 27 out or 21 outs, pitch into the 7th inning, and it worked. It worked. It was Zach Greinke and Patrick Corbin. I can't remember some of the other names, but there was really good starting pitching. But I think you have to manage the type of team that you have, understand who they are, and what's going to put them in the most successful state of mind and most successful state to have success fundamentally. And I do count on guys to go out there and give us length. But there's a balancing act every single day. You can't ask your starting pitcher to go 4 or 5 innings every single day. You're going to wear out your bullpen. So I feel like there's going to have to be a group of guys that will give us X amount of innings at the end of the year, 180 to 190 as a total. Now, I'm telling you this on the heels of what I did to Brandon Pfaadt. I understand what I did to Brandon Pfaadt. But I had great knowledge. I had great information through conversations. A lot of things that I said earlier. When he gets around that third time, the expected OPS and the actual OPS matched. It was right around 1,000. I wasn't going to put him in a situation to have limited success. So I will manage the game the way I see fit to help us win. But I can't possibly ask Brandon Pfaadt to give us 4 or 5 innings every single time. It just will not work for him, nor will it work for our bullpen. So we'll get our guys stretched out, and I'm going to react accordingly based on what they're giving me to help us win a game.
Or which is a shorter offseason, with all the changes that happened this offseason versus what you experienced before. What was the biggest surprise?
This offseason?
Yeah. Things that were different.
Let's see. I don't know. What are some things that you're thinking about as far?
You said the offseason and your timing.
Oh yeah.
What was the biggest surprise?
Yeah. Probably managing my time, my own personal time, and the overall timing and rhythm of what month we're in. Like, I feel like we're in November right now, for whatever reason it is, but it's not. You know, we're in December, and the calendar is going to turn in 20 plus days, and it always seems like when that calendar turns into the new year, you're downhill to spring training. So I would say it's a balance between me getting used to what month we're in, and then me just being able to balance my own personal time. The demand on my time has been very heavy. Deservedly so. I signed up for it. I'm not complaining about it. I just have to be a little bit better to get a little personal time for myself. Yeah. Yeah.
What did you bring?
Yeah.
And are there any other former teammates you have a wish list?
Not quite like Furuta. He came back. It was a great story for me personally, and then we reconnected, and I saw him again at the World Series. He vowed to come out if we made it to the World Series. He held up his end of the bargain. He came out there to support us. Got a chance to see him for a couple days. And then I want to try and bring him back for spring training because I just like having him around. I like his insight, his wisdom, and his ability to just connect some dots and see things that we might not see right there on the baseball field when we're working through spring training. It's a tough chore for him. I know he's got a lot of responsibilities while he's in Japan, but from when he stepped away last spring training for 2 weeks, I was great, very grateful for that. And he talked to me about a lot of different things, and he was able to expand my thought process about starting pitching and what an out pitch truly looks like. Those are a couple specific things that we talked about, and I just appreciate his baseball wisdom. He was 30 years ahead of everybody else. He was a walking computer, and that the day I met him, re-met him again in spring training, I could see that hadn't changed.